Hello everyone. I hope you're having a nice comfortable day. I'm in the shade, so I'm comfortable. If I was in the sun, I'd be miserable. I think it's around 85 or 90 today, but in the shade it feels like, with a tiny breeze, it feels like maybe 89. And it feels like about 75 here in the shade. So I'll stay here and do this lesson. I'm a little cockeyed. Hang on a second. That's better. I'm being picky, sorry. Okay. God's going to ask you to do something if he hasn't already. And if you're like me, you go and you like the Old Testament, which you're going to see, you go through your list of reasons why you can't do it. I'm not a good speaker. I can't do this. I can't approach people like that, or whatever it is. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Notice the word all things. He didn't say except for what we're having problems with. Because when Moses was first called, he goes, I can't talk to these people. Who am I going to say sent me? And God says, just tell them, I am sent you. The God of everything, everywhere, anywhere, the creator of all things. There's nothing that you can't associate with him that's good. To have someone like that contact you directly. A burning bush. I mean, how many of us have had burning bushes? Maybe a burning battery in my phone, but no burning bush. But we're still called. We hear different ways. One of the best ways to hear God is to read his word, because I can read the same verse 100 times and get 100 different interpretations. Not the meaning, but how to apply it to my life. The meanings can sometimes vary. We know how the words go. One of my favorite comedians when I was younger, I don't know if he's still alive, but he's not working that I know of. Or maybe some back room someplace, comedian. It was Gallagher. I don't know if you've ever heard or seen him. You've got to see him. I've been to his show twice where I sat in the front row. I hope you know what that means. We were, of course, covered in plastic, and we had everything from cherry pie to watermelon to whipped cream or whatever else he was using, all splattered, because he sat there and smashed them with his sledge-o-matic. Most people don't know that he was an English major, a teacher. And he had a weird way of looking at things, and he started putting it to better uses. And he would pick on our language. You got to make fun of something when they open it up to you. Take the numbers. 1. I'm going to be using some of his material here, so I'm making sure he has credit. 1. Where's the wah in 1? It's not there. Where'd they put it? It's in 2. There's a W there you don't need. You see? He could spot stuff like that. You drive on a parkway. You park in a driveway. Now, he made a career out of the awkwardness and the funniness of language, and yet we try to study it here. I've had a couple of people recently leave me a comment, but they were not nice about the way they left. They go, Rapture's not in the Bible. Well, it only is in the Bible if you can read Latin. It's in the Latin Vulgate. But it's the translation of the Greek word hapasso. So it is in the Bible, but you just got to do your homework more. And they go, well, there's no such thing as pre-tribulation. Well, let me give you this. Paul was looking pre-rapture in the tribulation. Paul was looking for the rapture. If that isn't pre-tribulation, I don't know what is. So if you're going to pick on somebody, get your facts straight. I make mistakes because I have my bunkerisms, I guess. I misuse words sometimes, or I get people's names wrong. But that's an accident. I know what the right way is, and I sometimes mess up. And if I catch it, I'll tell you about it. If I don't, you'll tell me about it. All right. I wanted to look at Philippians. Here's the verse. Talking about messing up. The verse that I quoted, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, Moses didn't have Christ in him. He had the Spirit of God in him, which happens to be the same thing. Now, a lot of these people back then, they may not have had them living inside them like we do, but they maybe were so engulfed in the Spirit that it just engulfed the whole person. They weren't forgiven back then. And Lord knows Moses had an attitude. He didn't get to see the promised land because of his attitude. He was a faithful servant, but he'd complain a lot. But it was proper because the children of Israel were complaining to him. And then Moses would have to go to God and say, would you please stop punishing for this? They're sorry. Of course, they weren't, but Moses would go to bat for them. So what I want to do is read out of Numbers. I'm going to eventually get down to it, but I'm going to start at verse 1. Okay, this is after he'd been in charge of them for a little while. They're out in the wilderness. They're eating manna. Now when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, for the Lord heard it, and his anger was aroused. So the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed them in the outskirts of the camp. I don't know what he was burning, but he was setting things on fire to let them know he didn't like what they were doing. Now the mixed multitude who were among them yielded the intense craving. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, who will give us meat? They're eating manna. They're eating free food. They don't have to do anything but go out and collect it. And you don't collect more than you need because there'll be another batch tomorrow. In fact, if you got too much, it would rot. If you went out later and got it after the time you were allotted, it was rotted. It was very specific. You go out at this time, you collect what you need and go home. And I'll take care of it and we'll do it again tomorrow. But they wanted meat. Well, when we eat the same thing, if you had, I don't know, Pop-Tarts every meal of the day, I'd be sick after the first one, but let alone have to have it every day. Because their manna tasted like a pastry. And they had honey. I don't know if they were allowed to put honey on it. Okay. Who will give us meat? We remember the fish in verse 5, which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. And I just ate. But now our whole being is, and they also had garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except for this manna before our eyes. Now the manna was like coriander seed. It's a little itty bitty seed. Its color was like the color of bdellium. I don't know what that is, but I imagine it's kind of a golden color. The people went about and gathered it, ground it on millstones or beat it in a mortar, cooked it in pans, and made cakes of it. And its taste was like the taste of pastry prepared with oil. And they didn't use oil, so. And when the dew fell on the camp in the night, the manna fell on it. So God takes care of everything, gets rid of it. Then Moses heard the people weeping through their families, everyone at the door of his tent, and the anger of the Lord was greatly aroused. Moses also was displeased. Okay, here we go. So Moses says to the Lord, "Why have you afflicted your servant? And why have I not found favor in your sight, that you have laid burden of all these people on me?" Poor pity party. Did I conceive all these people? Did I beget them, that you should say to me, "Carry them in your bosom as a guardian carries a nursing child to the land you swore to their fathers"? Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep all over me, saying, "Give us meat that we may eat." I am not able to bear all these people alone, because the burden is too heavy. If you treat me like this, please kill me. That's what he said. If I have found favor in your sight, do not let me see my wretchedness. Moses, complaining to God. Later on, he goes, are these the children of God or the children of Moses? He spent a lot of time complaining. I hope you're aware that what he did when he finally disobeyed God, it was anger on his part. He got mad at God. God wanted to prove that he doesn't have to do things the same way every time. Moses, when he was commanded earlier, was supposed to create water. God told him, "Go up and hit that rock, and I'll give you water." Well, obviously there was a spring being capped by that rock, and God knew all about it. He set it up a long time ago. And when he hit it with the staff that he had, water started gushing out, and it gave water for the people. Amazing miracle. But when they had another occasion where they needed water, God said, "Just go over and speak to the rock. Don't touch it." And Moses got mad, and he hit it. God gave him water, but he banned Moses from going into the promised land. When the rest of children of Abraham are marching across the Jordan and going into the promised land, Moses is on top of a hill looking down, assumingly realizing his mistake. So you can push God too far, but you can't outdo his patience if you're respectful. You can ask the same question a million times and he'll answer it a million times. You can ask for help a million times. He'll give it to you at the right time. There's a rhyme type thing. If you ask for something, sometimes it's no. If it's the right timing, it's go. If you're not ready, it's grow. And there's a couple more in there I can't remember right now, but clever English usage again. And we know that there's translation problems with the Bible from the point of view that when we use words, they have different meanings. Now, what kind of a word can you think of that has multiple meanings? I have one because I am one. It's called wise guy. I like to say that when Jesus was born, God invited 3 wise guys to his son's birth. Okay. It's in the Bible the term is wise men, but guy and men are the same. See, here's a simple thing. Wise is a good word. Guy is a good word, but when you put them together, you got a prankster or whatever that is. You're a wise guy. But you got to be wise. All right. I hope you're doing fine. I hope me showing you some of the Old Testament heroes having trouble. We're going to get to Elijah and Jonah in the next couple of days. I don't care what you've got. I don't care what your excuse is. God's already heard it. He's already answered it. Probably in the Bible, but if it's not covered there, his answer was, "I will take care of you." If you don't have the ability, good. more better that I can shine through you than you blocking the light. Okay. Till we meet in the skies, God bless.